Okay, so something else to talk about that is not Trump related is food. And this has been very interesting for us because, of course, we cook most of our meals at home.
That's right. It's pretty much 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. And the only time we tend to eat out is if we're at an action and it's not convenient to either make food beforehand and bring it with us because maybe it's going to go off in the heat or... so that's really the only time we tend to eat out, and that might only happen once a week or something like that.
At most. Sometimes it can go for a month and we haven't eaten out.
Yeah.
You know? So it's been very, very different to eat out more frequently.
Yeah, because sometimes it's twice a day.
Yeah, sometimes.
Often it's maybe just once a day.
Yeah. And that's taken a little bit of adjusting, but I feel like we're on track now. I mean, we try to choose the healthiest option most of the time on the menu.
That's right. And the great thing is we've been noticing is that most menus at the places we've been visiting, at least anyway, have different options. So there's the dirtier options, if you like, and then there are more clean options, if you like. So just to give an example, there might be something deep fried, but then you could also choose to build your own bowl. That's quite popular here.
This is a big difference. We don't have this in Australia, I don't think, the whole bowl option. But it's
typically not where we eat out when we do eat out in Australia. So, you choose a grain, you choose a bean, you choose some veggies, you might choose a dressing. And
a tempeh or a tofu or a burger patty or something.
Yeah, which they say choose your protein type thing, even though protein is in all the other
like, we won't correct your
parts
menu,
of the
but
bowl.
Technically. So that's been really good. I think that's helped keep us on track.
Yeah, definitely. And we also, sleep is another thing.
No, hold on, wait. I haven't finished with food yet. I was going to say, though, there have been a few times where we've wanted to deviate from the bowls and try a few different things.
Yeah.
And it's usually just to get a good photo for Instagram or something. And boy, have we felt it. Where were we?
You're thinking of the Spiral Diner in Dallas.
It was Dallas,
where we ordered what was called a truck stop burrito.
Oh my gosh.
And this thing was massive. It was as big as your head.
Well, every burrito here is as big as my head because I don't have a very big head. Let's be honest.
But remember, the burritos in Texas are bigger. Yeah, everything in Texas is bigger.
Everything's bigger.
It's true. Anyway, this thing was chock-a-block. It had it had vegan sausage in it. Typically, we would take out any mock meat because we're just not fans of it. But for some reason, we're like, let's just leave it in there for the experience this time around. Let's see what vegan sausage tastes like. It helps us when we outreach because then we can relate more to non-vegans and we can say, oh, you know what? I had this burrito the other day and it had some vegan sausage in it and it wasn't amazing. I couldn't tell the difference.
Exactly. It just makes your outreach more authentic.
More authentic.
I mean, I would say that anyway. Because I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Yeah, but rather than telling a little white lie, you're speaking from a place of personal experience.
Yeah, I actually have had the vegan sausage.
That's right. So there was the vegan sausage, there was potato, there was tofu, there were veggies, and then there was this rich, creamy, white gravy, vegan gravy sauce on top of the burrito. Anyway,
now, when it came out, we're like, holy moly. This is going to be amazing. And it was. Like the first few bites, we were thinking, this is the best thing we've ever tasted.
Yeah, what a taste sensation it was.
Right? It was just like a bomb
in your
mouth. Halfway through, I'm like, I'm going to be sick.
Yeah.
And part of that reason was, I have to admit, we had some, what do they call it?
Nachos.
It wasn't. It was
chips and cheese? Chips and cheese, yeah.
Corn chips and vegan cheesy sauce. And I just got addicted to, this is the thing, there's such hyper-palatable foods. This is why we don't eat them.
Yeah.
So the corn chips were covered in salt. The cheese sauce was delicious. And I'm like, I'll have one. Well, that one turned into like a quarter of the thing. We were sharing it with a few other people. And I just couldn't stop. And so by the time this burrito came out, I was almost kind of semi-full. And then we get to halfway through the burrito and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm so full, I'm going to be sick. But we kept eating and I think I left just a little bit at the end. And then I felt nauseous. We were going to an event and I'm thinking, I'm going to throw up in the car.
Yeah, too much oil, too much salt, too rich and creamy.
Yeah. I don't know how people eat like this on a regular basis. I just, the difference in your body is extraordinary. And I think if you don't know how to eat whole foods and you don't have that kind of cleaner palate, then you just wouldn't think any differently. But once you've experienced the cleaner palate, to go back to eating those kind of heavy, salty, oily, rich foods is just, oh my gosh.
And I just kept thinking exactly what you've just said, but also I kept thinking how grateful I am that such options exist.
Yes.
Because for most non-vegans, eating a standard Western diet that is, as you said, hyper-palatable, to switch directly to eating predominantly whole plant foods.
Forget it.
The leap is with minimal condiments and no oil. That it's just going to be way too hard for the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
So that those options exist where they're equally hyper palatable, rich and tasty, that people can really sink their teeth into, and then they won't feel like they're missing anything. I'm so glad they exist.
Yeah, and that restaurant was full, and it was not full of vegans.
No,
There's no way that all those people were vegans.
In fact, one thing that we found out, we were very curious about,